In Africa, we say, start where you are, use what you have. I am Chieza Nyahuye, the African AI auntie, born in Zimbabwe, shaped across 4 continents, and rooted in the wisdom of community. My mission is to help students, educators, and creators understand, engage, adopt, and implement AI plus digital entrepreneurship. Through my book, The AI plus Digital Entrepreneurship Blueprint, my workshops and platforms, I provide tools to turn your ideas into income and lead Africa into the global digital revolution. This is more than a business. It's about unlocking dignity, possibility, and legacy. Join me, and together we'll build Africa's digital future. Go. Ele Maoni.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all to the amazing Future Proof Your Hustle 5 AI income streams of Africa's youth. And we want to welcome you all to the amazing Hello Plaza in the metaverse that you can join from your cell phone, from your laptop, from your iPad, from your mama's desktop. If you got internet, you can get in here and we don't care. We want you to join us on all social media platforms. You can join us on Facebook. You can join us on LinkedIn. You can join us on YouTube. And we want to have the amazing Chietza introduce herself and share more about today's amazing event.
Baoni amesiere habari gani dumelang si njani makadini ko bonjour bon dia. Hello everyone. This is African AI Auntie Chieza Nyahuye, and welcome to our event right here in the metaverse. And thank you, David and Tara, for being here with me today as well. Today's topic is wanting to share more practical ideas and skills that African youth and those who are listening could actually implement. And we'll be discussing 5 different AI hustles that students or whoever would like to engage would be able to engage in and even develop and implement, and even starting without putting any money down. So that's the main topic for today, just discussing 5 different AI hustle ideas.
I love it. I'm excited to have this conversation because, this is what the conversation is about, is to help other people. And so let's dive right in. How do you make AI feel simple for young Africans using their phones?
Well, first of all, AI is not a monster or like hiding in a bush. A lot of people, there's so much misinformation, unfortunately, where people are a lot more skeptical and even fearful of engaging it. So the way that I introduce it to the young people I'm working with, even whatever little knowledge they may know, is basically see AI as a tool, as your friend. Yes, it's just a smart calculator in a way with manners, but I start showing them how they can even just start using it with one simple action. So I say, type a question to ChatGPT and press send. And when they see AI can write, let's say, a lesson plan or summarize a paper or create a business idea in seconds, that fear melts away because the simplicity removes the intimidation. So I also often encourage them to play with it, right? Ask it, to help you with daily tasks so that you become more familiar with how the prompting and responses work. It's learning a new language, but also in a conversational, more accessible way.
One of the biggest things I realize especially when you speak to prompting, is that we realize real quick when we're utilizing AI, ChatGPT or Gemini, Claude, any of those that people choose to utilize, we are really bad at giving direction of what we want. That is what what AI will point out to you in the very beginning when you start utilizing AI. And a lot of people get detoured. They get discouraged because they think, oh, I can't get, I need this answer. I know what this answer looks like, but I need the connective parts to be put together. And they can't get that prompt quite right. And they give up because they get discouraged as to what the feedback they give. And so it's really challenging when it comes down the pipeline for people when they begin to start to think, oh, I can't do it. And like you said, just get in there, get your quote unquote hands dirty, and go play with it and utilize it. And once you utilize it for about a week, you'll realize where you got to get stronger in your skill set to think through the prompt to give it.
Yeah, and I think another great point that people have to understand is that, especially for the African youth, is that 75% of Africans, already use their mobile phone. And so this is like to the title, don't let, your future be stopped by allowing our technology. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I think you want to stress is that I think you got to start pressing buttons. Utilizing whether it's ChatGPT, utilizing Gemini, utilizing DeepSeek, utilizing so many other tools that are out there other than ChatGPT, but pressing the button. And even furthermore, a lot of you have to understand your keyboard is gone. Right now, you all should be talking to these actual ChatGPT bots because there's a little microphone right next to the button that you hit check mark, and you should be talking because I know I hate typing. I'm that guy with the one finger typing where Tara's like 5,000 words per second. And she likes typing and I like talking clearly. And so I encourage you guys all to start talking if you're not typing.
And thank you for
Do you
highlighting
have
that,
something you want to
David.
add on top of that before we get to the next question?
Sure, because I agree with both you and Tara when in the aspect of learning to practice with AI. See it as a conversation because a lot of people think you have to have the perfect prompt created yourself. Actually, when I create prompts in ChatGPT, I ask ChatGPT, say, okay, can you clarify this? Does this make sense? Can you help me better prompt this so that you can help me answer my questions? Right? So in a way, you are also helping ChatGPT become more like a collaborator than just thinking that you have to come up with everything yourself. And even the aspect of the feature of being able to just talk into the phone. Actually, I know I'm more of a Tara typing like furiously, but lately I've also been using the microphone and just talking into my phone and it's creating great results as well. So thank you for pointing that out, David.
Yeah. So, on to our next question. What is the fastest AI hustle for a total beginner can start today?
Oh, it's WhatsApp tutoring hands down. Because here's the point. A lot of us have a lot of knowledge, but we just need to find a way to package it and even a way to monetize it. So especially when we're looking at African university age students, tutoring is top of mind. And so a lot of us may be really good at English or math or coding or French or chemistry, Bible knowledge, Hausa, Swahili, basically anything. And so what AI does in terms of its tools, it helps you to structure it, right? And so that it's easier for you to not only, in a way, create tutorials, but I know even especially for parents, they love WhatsApp tutoring because it helps their children be able to access people who are on their level, who can basically explain the different concepts in a much more accessible way. And so even as a university student, I've been seeing so many stories of young people actually creating tutoring services, offering them through their WhatsApp connections. And you can even start with just 2 students, right? Some people may charge, $10, for a few sessions. I know I'm getting the different currencies. I know I'm talking US terms from here in the US, but there are minimal amounts that you can charge people for your tutoring services. And if you have 5, 10 students a month, that actually can end up being quite a good sum of money that you can use towards buying data for your phones or to access your online courses, or even to cover some of those university fees of basic living, right? Because we know that in university, we can't, a lot of times there are all these other added costs on top of your tuition that also need to be taken care of. So my recommendation is the easiest one so far is WhatsApp tutoring.
Yeah, and it's like you said, everybody has a skill set that they can help somebody else learn. And that is the beautiful thing. It doesn't matter if whether you're, 15, 25, 35, 45, 55, or 85, right?
Yes.
There's a skill set we all have, and a lot of times people think, oh, I don't have a skill set. Well, you know what? I can tell you the person downstairs that speaks Thai um, has a skill set that I don't have. They can speak Thai. I can't speak Thai fully, so we all have a skill set. Just breathing is a skill set. So, it makes me jump in and dive a little deeper. What subject uh, are African students successfully teaching with their WhatsApp and AI tutor hustle? What are they diving deeper in on?
Okay, so speaking from my experience, even in my education experiences in Zimbabwe, I remember especially in what we call secondary school or high school, a lot of students usually go for extra tutoring on certain subjects and for school revisions because the way the British system is set up is that end of year, you get these very important exams that you take that determine how you're going to proceed through your education system. So I even remember my mother used to pay for tutors for various ones of my siblings. I was mainly boarding school. But so secondary school revision is very important because as much as your teacher may teach you certain things, the way that the system works is all by repetition. And so reinforcing the various principles and topics that you have been taught, but also unpacking them to make them understandable. Another one that's popular is different languages, right? So I know in the African continent, we've got thousands of languages, but even in various contexts, be it tutoring on even just mastering the English language, right? Let alone your own colloquial languages that you may be using. University courses is also quite popular. I know they even say SAT prep because I know in various countries there are several students and schools that help students prepare for even to take the SATs, which is a standard test for the United States universities. So I've heard of various people actually offering those tutoring sessions because so that to help them get greater scores, to get access to the better universities that they want to, especially now with this whole thing of upgrading your capabilities and tools. Coding is actually becoming quite popular. So coding basics. I know of a young woman in South Africa. She started coding services, and she was even going into primary schools and teaching young children how to do coding. And then of course, creative writing and even using digital skills and tools like Canva for creating your posters, for creating flyers. Those are different ways that AI helps you to break down the content, and then it breaks it down to more simple lessons, but it also humanizes it. And what I love about having AI tools and having it online is the ability to scale. Because a lot of times when you're tutoring, you might only be able to meet one-on-one with somebody, etc. But you can actually be coaching multiple people at the same time because you can use, even using facilitating through WhatsApp, you're not as restricted to, shall I say, face-to-face interaction, physical interaction. But you could be having people that you're tutoring even in different countries, in different cities at the same time.
Absolutely. That's the beautiful thing about technology is that as we are right now sitting in Bangkok, Thailand, you are East Coast in America, and there are people that are anywhere in between there and all around this world that are listening, and we can connect with them at any time of day to have those sessions, right? That is the beautiful thing about versus even 10 years ago. Yes, we had the technology of connecting, but people wanted to do more face-to-face connection than, so
Yeah, and Chieta, I know we got some special guests here, so I wanted you to be able to say hi to everybody that's in the room. So go ahead, take it away.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to take a moment to thank all the people in the audience. I've seen a couple of you have have put some comments. So my dear sister Charito, all the way from the Philippines, hello, welcome. I see my brother Kam is also in the audience. Thank you for coming. And habarigani to you too. And then I'm seeing my sister Olusola, and you're talking about that you love this in terms of packaging and monetizing our knowledge is the challenge. So with AI, which can help give a structure, WhatsApp tutoring services would be great. And thank you for affirming that. Christiane Carter, thank you. Carty, thank you for joining us. You wrote, this is fire. I love how you're breaking down the excuses people have been fed for years. And that's the kind of energy we need. And it's fitting that you're doing this inside of the metaverse too. So kudos to us as well for the metaverse platform. Thank you to David and Tara for having introduced this to me a few months ago as well. And then also I'm seeing Carol, thank you for saying hello. And then another one from Olusola is that we all have a skill set, but we just don't pay enough attention to our capabilities. And that's actually a key point that I just want to pause on, because a lot of times, unfortunately, our education systems teach us whatever your teacher says is what you learn, you absorb, you regurgitate, right? But unfortunately, critical thinking is not really emphasized. And I believe each and every one of us has our innate talents and gifts. It's just trying to figure out the places and spaces where you can demonstrate that knowledge and actually not only share that knowledge, but actually even monetize it. And so when I'm looking at how AI tools can help people using just even WhatsApp to be able to share their knowledge, be able to impact people's lives, and also be well paid to do it, is a very different way from how I know I grew up. So thank you for that, Olusola. And thank you for loving our discussion. Dr. Marcia, yes, good morning. Happy Friday to you too. Yes, and Lisa, my dear Trinidad Tobago friend, yes, thank you. And happy Friday, and thank you for tuning in. I'll send it back to you, David.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things is that, when you talk about, WhatsApp app, education is the number one most requested, WhatsApp app surface across multiple countries. And that's what we continue to share with people is that, we're moving to a global economy. And that's why the metaverse. That's why we share with people there's no longer you having to, just do business in one country, because utilizing AI, you can change your entire presentation. You can change all of your social media. You can change everything that you're doing in your current language to a completely different language within seconds. And so there is no more excuses for you to say, oh, well, I don't know that language, just like we share with people as being digital nomads. Well, David, how are you and Tara getting around? You guys don't know the language. Hey, there's this great thing called a phone in your pocket that you have with you. And there's this thing that you use a lot. It's called Google Translate. And believe it or not, which blows our mind, is a lot more people know English here, right? Than when people come visit America, they go visit America. We tell them you better learn, English, and yet we come here and we don't know a thing, and they're not chastising us or anything of that sort. So this just goes to the openness of where the world is going and where we get to communicate and speak. Because even further with technology, I talk about phones. Your phones are obsolete as well in the next 4 to 5 years, because we're going to have the meta glasses that everybody's going to walk around and talk, and you're going to have the hologram screen. So this is where we continue to accelerate and be ahead of the curve. And so moving on to the next question, how can young entrepreneurs confidently, pitch their Canva, talk about their AI design services to local businesses?
Sure. Well, first of all, you have to become more visible, because shyness does not pay school fees, right? So it's more of you have to find ways to build your confidence. The only way you can build your confidence is by actually talking to people. So for example, I gave an example in one of my posts. I remember about, let's say you're a student in your hometown and you approach different shopkeepers, because a lot of businesses, with every business, it's all about how do I get access to my customers? How do I find my customers? And since everybody's on your phones, right, we can find ways to be able to access them right there from their phones. So that's a way that students can, well, whoever would want to engage in this, well, okay, I'm mainly talking to African students here, that what you can do is I can approach shopkeepers. You can even start talking to them about, okay, how are you marketing your business? What would be helpful for you? What is the messages that you want your key customers, target customers, that you want them to learn about you, and how can you serve them, right? And then finding creative ways to be able to design, be it flyers, be it even some sort of social media campaigns that can then also not only better help the shopkeepers or the business owners better able to access the customers that they want to talk to, but also do it in a way, in a language that appeals to them. So for example, as much as I've been doing all of my outreach, etc., and I've been trying to get into talk to African students in different countries, I've also realized that I needed to adapt the way that I speak. So I've been using more colloquial sort of languaging. Let's say, I know in a lot of West African countries, Pidgin English is often used. And so even just starting with a couple of greetings in the local languages helps to lower any, shall I say, reservations or suspicions. But the key aspect is to be relatable. So as much as you may create whatever you may create for the respective businesses, of course, to pay attention to which languages does that business want you to communicate and show and share their services with. And also keeping in mind terms of the demographics of the audiences that you want to speak to as well.
Yeah, and
I don't know if
that's
that answered
something
the
that,
question.
yes, ma'am, and that's something that you really, drilling down on a little bit more is understanding that importance of um, relatability. Anybody can stand for any messaging to any audience, but it kind of takes you back to the in America, a lot of times we utilize symbolism of like a rich person and a poor person, and a rich person having an out of touch reality to what the poor person has to go through. And I'm just saying those words in the sense of the drastic, harsh differences, not categorizing anybody or anything, but the out of touch reality that happens when we don't kind of hone into the relatability factor that you're just talking about. If that company, if they do business within a certain area, arena, language style, it is important to be able to connect and meet them where they are. As David and I were just talking today on some things that we're doing within our business, it's easier for us to say that we, to go at this approach and point out these items instead of pointing out these three factors, because the relatability factor, and that's huge, right? And so that leads me into, how can students or just any young professional really, get busy and be in action without having to have all the fancy gear, and I know this is a huge question a lot of people kind of get hung up on because they think they have to have all this gear to
Gadgets and gadgets.
Yeah, we as well have all this, and that's is why I kind of chuckle asking this question, because really we take this for granted, but it's so common. So
Yeah.
take it away.
So even when I started up with these hustles, I mainly wanted to make it very relatable for African students. And all we really have is your phone. Even I know when I've been talking to several young people on the African continent, I was making certain assumptions about people having access to laptops. Actually, most university students do everything from their phones, attending school sessions, writing the assignments, etc. So the same goes for doing business. You can do everything from your phone, from using ChatGPT, from accessing Canva, and creating your flyers. Everything can be done from your phone. But when even though you may be using your phone, you also need to make sure that you pay attention to the quality of your presentation. Because presentation is very, very important, right? Because you want people to to be drawn to what you're creating, to understand what you're saying. So even when you're using, like say, Canva, make sure you use clean Canva templates, right? So this crisp and clear. You must never send blurry screenshots, please, because people, you'll be confusing your target audiences. And then also keep it short and polite in terms of the messages, because unfortunately I know our attention span is very little. So even on a lot of social media platforms, I'm usually told what it takes, maybe the first 2 to 3 seconds is all you have to get people's attention. So that, keep that in mind as well. So especially when you're working with your clients in terms of professionalism and how you build your reputation for somebody who's reliable, always deliver on time, right? Because, and even if you need to adjust the timelines, communicating that with your respective clients is very important, because as you're building other people's brands, you're also building yourself as a person. So how you show up, how you make sure that you complete the deadlines that you have agreed upon, and even if there need to be adjustments, communicate that ahead of time, because sometimes we may take on more than we can actually handle. So I would caution you to also keep the communication lines open, right? And then also use, you can also even use voice notes quite confidently as you interacting on your phone, be it even responding to client questions or prospective people who are checking out your services. That's also a fast way, because I know data usage is always a big issue, especially in a lot of African countries. So voice notes are even faster and more economical as well. But professionalism is just not on your laptop, right? So, and as I was saying and emphasizing that professionalism is shown in everything that you do. And I know right now our main interface is your smartphone. So having that discipline to show up presentable, respectful, and being able to deliver on what you agree upon with your clients on a timely fashion is the way that you build yourself, not only as a person, but also your impact in your respective communities.
Yeah, and with all that being said, I'll just share this with you. You don't have a business if you don't talk about your business and you don't showcase your business. So definitely making sure that not worrying about the lighting. If you go out during the middle of the day, find you a good lighting, boom, it's done. Record it during the day, post it at night. Your audio is so much more important than the actual video quality. So a lot of people are utilizing TikTok. A lot of people, I'd encourage you maybe to go use Video Leap as well, and make sure there's always an application or a denoiser that you can use on the application, especially on TikTok. There's a denoiser, turn up the volume on it, and make sure you're being consistent at the end of the day. And that's the reason why, we have our amazing Hello Pivot membership of that Chiette is part of, where she doesn't have to worry about it, right? She does all her posting, but she knows we do it as well for her, as well as we do for our other customers, because a lot of times you don't want to do it. And AI cuts it, but sometimes you need some real marketing strategies and some planning around that to be able to do that. And that comes once you get your business started, but making sure you are posting something. And I tell people all the time, do not post because it's about posting for your customers, your clients. You are posting because guess what? You get to live forever. And when your grandson, daughter, your sister, your brother, when you're gone and you're dead, they get to go back to your social media posts and be like, oh, what did Auntie talk about today? What did Auntie Chiette talk about today? Oh, that's what she talked about. And Auntie Chiette gets to live forever. And so this is what I remind people: get out of your own way. Stop worrying about what other people say, your friends say, your family say. I can tell you, I've done well over 1,000+ lives. And not one time has somebody called me and said, oh my God, you were horrible at this, you were horrible at that, this stuff, that stuff. You're going to have family members that might not like what you have to say because it's about them. Who cares? It's the truth. It's your story. It's your glory. It's somebody else's survival guide. But you keep going, and trust me, if you stay along, as they say, you stay along the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a free haircut. And if you continue to stay consistent at what you're doing, I stayed a while longer because you can see my hair is gone. If you stay consistent at what you're doing, you're going to find success. And this is where a lot of the times people start businesses and they think, ooh, if I do this, ooh, if I do that, ooh, if I do this, then it all falls together within a certain time limit. And I can tell you, coming up on 10 years now being in business, it's not as easy and it's not as pretty as, sometimes they paint it. I wish some days I could go to a corporate job. But then I also look at the fact that I'm not in traffic, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, and I'm able to do what I want to do. Then I suck it up, buttercup, and I keep it going, because at this point, we all have to understand AI is the future. And your job is not here to keep you around. Your job is to make money. And if they can find something that's faster, reliable, cheaper, no HR, no 401k, no health insurance, none of that, they're going to do it. So this is why now is more important than any time to make sure you go download that 5 AI hustles in Chiet's amazing Biz in a Box, right? That you should all be going to her Biz in a Box and getting that and saying, you know what? I'm going to do something and I'm going to start something. But more importantly, I'm not just going to sit here and learn and get all this knowledge and need to learn what I need to learn, right? I'm going to learn and take action at the same point, because a lot of the times people get into this trap. Well, I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to do anything. So I get all my eggs in one basket and I need to do this and I need to do that. Forget all of that, right? Learn, do, because as you do, you're going to learn 10 times better. Than experience is going to outweigh ChatGPT, any other app than you actually experiencing yourself. And a lot of the times we rely on ChatGPT a little too much by actually not doing it ourselves. And you're like, ooh, ChatGPT doesn't understand this concept or my language, or it might only be programmed to that, especially for my African students. It definitely might not be with all the kinks and quirks that are with the culture difference, even here in Thailand, right? Asking questions here. So definitely make sure that you're keeping up with that. So moving on to the next question, right?
Actually, before we move on, can I just quickly double tap on something that you said?
Come on.
Because David, what you're saying is so important. And let me break down a couple of aspects. The aspect of continuous learning, right? Because in this day and age, as we're knowing is becoming more digital, things are changing all the time. But what's also exciting is that you can leverage the AI tools that you have access to. Even when you mentioned all those different filters and features in TikTok that make things easier for you to record your videos. I know I even use Snapchat when I was recording some of my videos because I like the filters, right? Because it's easier for me that way. But I realized TikTok does the same thing. So it's finding ways that you can actually create really good quality by leveraging the tools that you already have on your phone. It's just that you have to learn how to use the features and you practice. Of course, you make mistakes, but that's how you learn. Then the second aspect that you're talking about, David, that was also important is as when you're looking at wanting to set up a business or run a business, it does take perseverance. It does take continuous learning. It does take continuous failing forward, right? Because I know I've made plenty of mistakes. I make mistakes every day on how I do things. Okay, I tried that. It didn't work. What else can I do? Using ChatGPT, for example, as your companion in a way like, okay, I'm trying to solve this problem. I made this mistake. Can you give me 5 suggestions on how I can do things better, right? So that's what I just wanted to re-emphasize as well, that, as much as we're talking about the hustles, it's all about your mindset. I've always been told by my mentors, 98% of your success is internal. It's between your 2 ears. So also in the spirit of continuous learning, I know I've been in a lot of personal development, well, almost 30 years now. And so what I encourage you to do, even as students, is find people that you enjoy listening to, who build you as a person, who give you confidence, who give you courage to continue every day. And they say motivation is like bathing. You have to do it every day. So that's another extra tip for you on that point. And I hand it over to you, David, so we can continue.
I hope nobody was eating. I hope nobody was eating, because if they were eating, they definitely did not like that last comment.
Bathing every day.
Yeah. But you're so spot on, right? You got to do it. And finding a community, because as we share with people all the time, collaboration is the new currency. and we have to be able to find, people that we want to collaborate with, that are building with, and, go together at the end of the day. And so my next question to you, Chieta, is, what mistake should students avoid, right, using AI for research or academic work? Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I've been hearing a lot of this from a lot of friends of mine who are professors, right? Because students usually think, oh, okay, I just ask ChatGPT, gives me the answer, and I just copy and paste and submit it as is, right? But AI, if you actually really look at it, it actually responds to what you train it to do. So it does need your input. It does need you to give it frameworks. It does need you to give it ways to think about things as you are processing it within yourself. So two big mistakes that keep happening is everybody, whatever results you get, you copy and paste it straight away. But that's, for the most part, a lot of times, if you're not reading through it and checking it, it may be off base. Even when you're looking at cultural contexts, right? I know I've said this before, I guess in other forums, that Kenya is the #1 user in the world for ChatGPT. And so the way that I saw that help me is that even when I'm creating my images and things like that, they're much more attuned to African, shall I say, dynamics in terms of skin tone, in terms of representation, etc. But the reason why I'm getting those results is because so many African people, especially in Kenya, have been inputting what kind of images they want to create, how they want to be seen, etc. So that affects the algorithms, right? So when you're doing your research and things like that and using AI and getting the results that you get, keep asking it even this question on ChatGPT, okay, how can I better refine this? How can I better explain what I'm trying to solve? And so basically it needs you to add your brain to the process. Does that make sense? Because some people say, oh, AI will finish it for me, but actually it does you a disservice if you don't engage with them more. And also, again, in this line, or you must also be sure to check your facts, because whatever AI can guess and generate, oftentimes if you don't really check it and make sure that it is exactly what you need it to have say, or even make sure that what you are producing is true, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble, right? So AI does the heavy lifting, but you do the refining. So that's why I said, again, whatever it produces, I know I do this every day. I even say at the bottom of whatever I try to prompt to say, okay, please help me clarify this for relatability and impact, right? Or can you even say, can you find a way to refine this prompt so that I can get the exact result that I want, right? And so that's how you can interact and engage in your researching aspects, but also as the better quality that you produce as a result of this back and forth collaboration with the AI tools, it also helps you to build trust with your respective clients, and inevitably you do a great job, they're happy with what you do, that results in more referrals. Okay.
Absolutely. And that's, the key of this is to review, plan, adjust, or plan, review, adjust. Use plan, review, adjust. So you do something, review it, adjust it. That's all this is. I can tell you that's what we continue to do. That's what life is in general, is to plan, review, and adjust, and constantly look at things, what works and what doesn't work. It's kind of like driving to work every day. You have option A, route A, or route B. Route A takes you 45 minutes to get to work. Route B takes you 25 minutes. Which route are you going to go? You're going to go the 25-minute route, more than likely, every day, all day, because of the time and efficiency. So, before we move on to your next question here, I want to remind everybody to go out and visit AfricanAIAuntie.com. Go out and check out Miss Chieta's Biz in a Box and get her amazing ebook that she has up there, as well as the audiobook for the global degree in African roots, audiobook and ebook that is out there helping you be able to dive in deeper into the AI world and to essentially get started within the AI world. That's the biggest thing here. AI, and Chieta's not sitting here claiming that she's the AI genius and she created AI and she knows everything. thing, and she's the one who's, going to be the mass creator. That's not the claim. The claim here is, and the help here is assisting you by getting started, because everybody needs that guidance counselor, as we say. I was just thinking of showing up to college and needing someone to show you around, showing up to, elementary school and getting taken to your first, class, and being kind of held by the hand. That's what this is assisting you to be able to get outside of that comfort box. A lot of us sometimes don't get out of because we don't think that we need it. This is for all the people that are listening. A lot of times we think we don't own a business, we don't work in corporate America, or anywhere within the corporate career, anywhere around the world. It doesn't have to be corporate America, but we don't work in a professional corporate career, and so we don't need these tools. And in reality, you can stay home and take care of your household, which is the most important job, and that too, AI can be a massive help there. So this is really serving everybody, even though we're specifically talking to the African youth and the young professionals. This is here to help everybody. So let's dive into this next question is, how can students turn small caption gigs into long-term monthly clients that keep coming back?
It's all about showing you results, right? So often we always want to you always want to demonstrate the transformation that you've made. So before and after engagement screenshots are basically your best friends. It's helping to show people how you are helping to change people's brands, not only how they look, but also how they present themselves, even in using local languages that are relatable. If a brand sees likes, because I know we look at different algorithms of how people respond. So if, let's say, you do something, you create a certain promotional material, and then the brand sees maybe almost doubling of the likes and engagement, people will pay for that, right? Because at the end of the day, in this very competitive world, we're all fighting for attention. We're all fighting for being able to grab somebody's attention, not only to just grab their attention and educate them about what you offer, but also to, end of the day, they need to buy, right? Because every business's lifeline, it needs money. We're not here just to be posters. So that's the main goal of whatever social captions that you create. It's all about how do we get in, not first of all, make sure that it's eye-catching in a way that grabs people's attention, because you only have 2-3 seconds to do that these days. And then also even your messaging, right? That it's something that is compelling, that is something that appeals to a problem that your respective client needs to be resolved. And then and having shown your capabilities of doing that, that's when you can place the charges, right? For example, you can say, for $50 to $150 a month, I'll manage your weekly posts. And even though that may seem to be small numbers in certain parts of the world, I know $50 to $150 per month can go a long way in African student contexts. And also that can actually become consistent income. So even after you graduate from university with your degree, you can continue your hustle and even expand it to be a fully fledged business.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And at the end of the day, when we talk about, how, can students turn small caption gigs into long-term monthly gigs, it's first of all, just getting yourself out there and doing good work and being, authentic with your work at that. And so moving on to question number 8, right? How can AI help students earn more and work faster in the data entry hustle? Talk to us a little bit more about that.
So data entry is actually one of those key, should I say, administrative tasks that a lot of companies are wanting help with. And so the way that AI helps with that is that it's almost like your speed booster. So instead of manually cleaning messy texts, you can basically paste it into ChatGPT, and you can ask it, can you fix the grammar, translate to English, or translate in, well, I'm not sure about its ChatGPT's capabilities to translate into other languages like Hausa or Yoruba or Shona yet, but we'll just keep it in the English language for now. what I'm mainly saying is you can have ChatGPT help you do the editing and cleaning up of the whatever data that you're trying to reorganize, rebrand, recreate, and better organize it for you for usability. So because it does this in seconds, you can be basically one of the fastest workers everyone wants to hire, because you're very efficient, you know how to use ChatGPT, you make sure that you check everything is correct, and I guess right now the currency of speed is also what's an impressive way to stand out when you're doing data entry work.
Yeah, that's the speed. And I will tell you, I remember getting a job when I was younger and speed test and accuracy. And now you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, we really bypass that. So how can students use AI in TikTok and YouTube storytelling without losing their African authenticity?
Oh, I love this one. I've been having so much fun with this. Okay. Because, okay, I know we're all still recovering and still trying to figure out, okay, whatever I communicate, will people understand me? Will I be accepted? And I'm mainly speaking even on the African context, unfortunately due to our colonial experiences, right? I even remember in Zimbabwe that if you went to private schools, you had to speak with a certain accent. If you went to government schools, then, well, you aren't as just supposedly sophisticated, right? And in a lot of ways, I felt we kind of schizophrenic because, you know, here you want to still have a grasp of your own local colloquial language or culture, but a lot of the force in our educational system is told, oh, you need to become as British or as American as possible. Yet at the same time, I'm also watching this shift happening back where there's a lot more reclamation of our heritage, of our way of doing things, our way of speaking. I know, especially in West Africa, the Nigerians have it down pat. I'm not kidding you. There's unapologetically very much who they are in terms of their languages. And so even using Pidgin and using our versions of the English language that make sense to our grammatical, cultural interpretations of language is very relatable. So as much as I was saying, okay, I want to get into African markets, I quickly realized that I can't come across as this Britishized, Americanized person. That doesn't fly. And so what I also love about myself, and what I find a lot of different cultural people do, is I know here in the US you call it code switching, right? But for me, at the end of the day, in whichever ways I communicate, I want to find ways so that I bring down barriers and almost create immediate trust. So a way that I've been doing it, I know the easiest way is to be able to greet somebody in their language. I'll give you an example of when I used to go to South Africa. A lot of times people say, people are dangerous in Joburg. You'll get killed. La. I was like, whatever. So I'll be on the public transport. I say, Salibonani, Ninjani, Yapila, Yapila. Okay, I'm lost. Can you help me? I can count so many different ways that people would literally hold my hand and take me to where I wanted to go just because I used a greeting in their language that they understood. Even if they realize that, okay, she's from Zimbabwe, she doesn't quite know my language, but at least she's trying, right? So that's even that kind of persona of presenting yourself in a way that, okay, even if I may not be familiar with your direct cultural language, how can I make the effort to be relatable? How can I make the effort to speak in a way that engages people? I know even as I'm working with different African youth, I've been learning some bits of slang in different languages because I know I've been getting these very amused responses. Even my niece in Australia, she actually corrected me because she used to take Tree, which is one of the languages in Ghana, for several years. And so I've even been doing on my social media, doing little introductions in different cultural languages. I've done at least 8 languages right now. But just even with the greeting before I talk about African AI Auntie, it's just the first few seconds, right? If you hear your language, like, hold on, what is she saying? Right? So it's also about attention grabbing that way. And so as much as, and funny enough, I actually used ChatGPT to help me with that. And so I was going back and forth with ChatGPT. I was also making sure that I go to different Google and YouTube videos to make sure that I'm getting the right accent and intonation. And just paying, so having that mindset of, as much as I want to sell my business, etc., am I doing it in a way and in a language that gets the attention of my target market? I can't be speaking in Zulu to people who are Zulu the same as I speak to people who are Yoruba. It's very different cultures, different languages. But I'm not saying that you have to be fluent in thousands of languages, but finding ways to do even just a phrase here and there goes such a long way. I even remember seeing the expression of three ladies I'm working with in Lagos, just by saying, "Ele mao baoni," they're like, "Oh, Auntie's speaking our language." Like, yep, that's as far as I go. But you know what I mean? Just even just having that joy of, oh, somebody sees me. Okay, maybe I can talk to this person, right? So that's what I mean about our keeping ourselves authentic in our storytelling, finding local proverbs, even the way that I'm presenting myself as African AI auntie. I use storytelling as my way of being, because I'm a storyteller anyway, because I've written books, but I'm having a lot more fun and just going back to our cultural ways where basically you go sit under a tree, the baobab. I even have what's called the digital baobab, where we sit under the tree, you gather around, you share music, you tell stories, you share proverbs and teachings and you guiding. And so that's the way that I've been using that. So I encourage you as African students, whichever country and context you're in, you can amplify your way of being, your cultural way of being. You can use your mother tongue, right? Using your local names and African heroes and local proverbs, because that also makes the way when you're presenting it to people to make it relatable, that they can engage with you, that they can actually even trust you as somebody that can go to solve some of their problems. And so just on a quick beat on this one, AI gives you the skeleton, but our cultural African ways of being gives us the heartbeat.
Yeah, no, you're so spot on, and just doubling back on, something that you shared. I think a lot of the times, especially when we talk about, the African cultures and the different dialects and things of that sort, on your social media, you should definitely be utilizing the captions. You get 2 to 3 times more watch time if you utilize the captions. So make sure you're utilizing the captions. Or if you are trying to penetrate or target a particular area, utilize that particular language in that. And then something else that I would share with you guys is utilizing story-based content increases your engagement by like 300%. So especially within the African culture, that seems to be a lot more beneficial as we move forward. And I love the fact of just being able to go to different cultures and debunk a lot of the things that people say, because that is one of the things that we get a lot of the times here in Thailand is people say, well, is this there? Is that there? Is this here? And we're like, no, it's none of that, especially when we went to Colombia. When we went to Colombia, oh, are you guys going with the drugs and stuff like that? We're like, no, it's Colombia. Or, oh, are you guys safe in Mexico? Tara can perfectly walk perfectly fine downtown Mexico, then I would trust her downtown Houston, Texas. So, this is where we have to go experience these things and get to talk to the culture. And they tell us things just like over here in Asia, we think there's a big control factor and they don't want them to have this and they don't want that. It's all lies. And so this is where we get to sit down and come into the metaverse, actually get to talk to people from different sides of the world and don't have to rely on pictures and videos and what's controlled and what you get to see and what you don't get to see, right? We actually get to have these type of conversations by having this amazing, conversation with you, Chietza. So one of the last questions that we have for you today, right?
Yes.
Is what would you give every African student as they leave here today to take action?
So Before I answer that, I just want to quickly acknowledge a few people who I'm realizing are students who are tuning in from different countries as well, um, because, and then I'll sum it up with what I would have everybody take away, especially as students. So I just wanted to acknowledge Tina. You are saying hello to us. I know Swapna, you're also tuning in from India. Namaste to you too. And then Musi, I'm seeing some of your questions and thank you for acknowledging the tips. But you did ask a question about which area do you see gaps need to be filled or invested in when we're talking about AI hustles. So on that spirit, a final message I'll say to students who are ready to start with AI hustles is basically the world has turned, and so because the world has become much more digitally programmed, right? So we need to find ways to stay relevant, and so you can't get left behind. As we've been talking a lot through this whole conversation, it's about keeping an open mindset, being committed to continuous learning. Like my mother says, Shona, that means you basically continue learning until the day you die. So if you want to stay relevant, you need to have that attitude that you don't just learn once, you're learning every single day. I'm learning something new every single day as I'm engaging with all these AI tools and new ones coming and popping up every single day. I also encourage you that when we're talking about our cultural ways, right, to fully embrace that, because you don't need to speak perfect English to be able to be noticed on social media or be relatable to the communities that you want to serve. Your main aim is, how can I communicate in a way that resonates with them? And the only way you can learn that is by asking people, right? And even testing out that, okay, this is what I've created. Ask a couple of people of different generations. Okay, does this make sense? How can I tweak it so that it'd be something that you would want to buy or something that you would want to subscribe to? And also I'm realizing, since the majority, I'd say, of students don't have laptops, you don't need one. Everything you can want to do can be done from your phone. And even as David mentioned, because of technology advancing as fast as it is, probably the next 10 years, you could be doing it from your glasses. You know what I mean? From the metaverse glasses. So again, in saying that, I'm just encouraging you,
10,
use
try
what you
like
already have.
3.
Yeah, so use what you already have, which is your smartphone. You're already using it for attending lessons and creating your assignments. Why not turn it into a money-making machine? And no, you don't need rich parents to get started. You only need one thing, and that's taking action. So just pick one hustle today. You're welcome to download my the free written version of this, of the 5 AI hustles on my Business Box website at africanaiauntie.com. I've also have actually a short playlist of the 5 AI hustles on YouTube. So you can even look at that, because I know we all learn in different ways. Some of us are more like to listen to things and to read it. So you have those two options. And don't be afraid to get messy with it, because it's only by playing in the sandbox, as they say, that when you experiment and try things and fails, you find what works, and then you continue to amplify and develop what works. That's the only way that you'll be able to not get into the game, but actually stay in the game. Because as I keep learning every day, there are so many opportunities. It's just taking that first step. Because if you don't take the first step, you won't be able to realize what the world has to offer you. And on that note, do it afraid. The main thing is to just start, because I'm waiting for a message that fills my heart every time, right? So I'm waiting for the next person who says, Auntie, I did it. I made my first digital dollar or naira or CD or Kenyan shilling, right? And if anything, just know my heart is always with you to encourage you to grow, to learn, to create ways to build your own livelihoods and still be tech savvy and still engaging with the world, where the world is going in this digital economy. And on that note, I will hand it back to David and Tara. Thank you so much, both of you, for hosting this conversation.
Absolutely, Chiesa. And, it's always a pleasure to have everyone from around the world join us with this amazing conversation that we had today with Future Proof Your Hustle, 5 AI income streams for Africa youth, and really for anybody. You got a heartbeat, black, white, purple, green, orange. You never know. We might got these new ones coming down on the 19th. So buckle up, buttercups, but it doesn't matter. Eating, and you can see and you can hear, we communicate, go download it at the end of the day. And it's really about us, understanding this technology. Just as when internet was first developed, it was used by the army, and it was developed in the 1950s. And here we are now shopping for everything till we can shop till we drop. I wish that we would have never discovered Amazon. Let me just tell you that. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only man that wishes that neither. But that's another podcast, another story for another day. We want to thank you guys all for joining us in the Hello Plaza Metaverse, in the Hello Plaza that you can join from any device, your cell phone, your laptop, your iPad. You can definitely come experience and see the future of the internet. And without further ado, you guys know the drill. Love,
Kindness,
integrity,
but most importantly,
commitment,
and
consistency.
and until next time,
Toodles!
bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.